ॐ कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः। After skipping a week, we did not have a class on September 4. We are back to the study of the Bhagavad Geetā. We had covered in the last class verse number 11 of chapter 9. In that verse, Bhagavan Sri Krishna lashed out at ignorant people who, because of their ignorance and their confusion, look down at God Himself. Avajananti. Jananti means they know. Avajananti means they know in a negative way. They know someone without understanding how great one is. Avajananti, avagyam paribhavam kurvanti, said Sri Shankaracharya. All because from a distance, Bhagavan Sri Krishna looks like anybody else. Manushim tanum ashritam. Because he is in human form in this Krishna avatar, right from his childhood all the way till this time of Mahabharata Yuddha, there are always many people who thought of him very lightly, who took him very casually. To a much less extent, with all love and regard, even Arjuna did not know Sri Krishna's glory so much. It was in the 11th chapter that when Sri Krishna showed his Vishwarupa, cosmic form, Arjuna got shaken to his roots. He begs for forgiveness from Lord Sri Krishna. We will go there pretty soon. But now in the 9th chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, these people do not know ajanantaha param bhavam ajananta. Somebody who did not know any Sanskrit at all once said to me, you know, in Bhagavad Gita there is the word maja. As you know, in Hindi, maja, which has gone into many other Indian languages, maja means having fun. And as though that is not enough, he said, maja ananta, infinite fun. Krishna, don't, don't play with the language so irresponsibly. We need to split the words carefully. Param bhavam ajanantaha. Janantaha means knowing. Ajanantaha means not knowing. Not knowing what is behind the human form. Sri Krishna was God walking on the earth in a human form. Sri Krishna was Bhuta Maheshwara, was and is and will be. Let's see quickly the Shankara Bhāshya. Avajananti, avagyam, avajnam, paribhavam kurvanti. They take him very lightly. Oh, Sri Krishna, I don't care, and so on. Antam papam, they are into a big blunder by doing so, by saying so. Mudaha, avivekinaha. In life, our greatest enemy is ignorance, and out of that ignorance, there arises aviveka. We say what should not be said, and equally we don't say what should have been said. We do what should not have been done, and we do not do what we ought to do. Many a time, the right thing to do takes 2 minutes, but we don't do it. The wrong thing may take several hours, and we get very busy doing the wrong things with all so-called dedication. Krishna Krishna, that is called avivekina, those who are lacking in right perception with regard to dharma, what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false. Manushim, Manushya Sambandhim, or Manushya Sambandhinim, because Tanu is Strilinga, Manushya Sambandhi would have been masculine or neuter adjective, but here the noun is Tanu, feminine. Therefore, Shankara writes, Manushya Sambandhinim Tanum Deham Ashritam. Manushya Dehena Vyavaharantam Ityetat. Operating, transacting, having relationships with ordinary human beings, while himself also has a human body. Manushya Dehena Vyavaharam Kurvantam Ityetat. Param Prakrishtam Bhavam Paramatma Tattvam. You see in human form Sri Krishna, but actually behind that form, beneath that form, within that form, there is Paramatma Tattva. The principal Tattva of Parama Atma, the Supreme Self. Jivatma is the tiny entity. Paramatma is the all-pervasive, all-powerful, all-knowing entity. Jivatma, Paramatma, Bheda. One has to know. Akasha Kalpam, just as space has no boundary anywhere. Or why? Akashadapi Antaratamam. He is subtler than space, and space is pervaded by him. Space comes and goes. Time comes and goes. But Paramatma Tattva remains unshaken, without any change. Antaratamam. Antara is inside, and Antaratara is more inside. Antaratama is most inside. Akasha. Akashadapi Antaratamam Ajanantaha. Though there is no Maja here, but Ajanantaha. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram Sarva Bhutana Mahantam Ishwaram Swam Atmanam. That truth at once is the supreme ruler, and that truth at once, alas, they don't know, is the inner truth too. Swam Atmanam. Adi Shankara, being a champion of Advaita Vedanta, here and there, does not hesitate to clarify that this supreme God is the self of everyone too. Therefore, the ignorance that you and I suffer from is twofold. We don't know the glory of God, nor do we know our own hidden divinity. Once someone asked Pujya Swami Chinmayananji, if somebody following Bhagavad Geetā and spirituality, etc., all the same, due to some unhealthy past tendencies, gets into doing wrong things, vulgar things, unimaginably unrighteous things. How do you explain this, and what will happen to her or him? Pujya Swamiji said on that occasion, when somebody, a good grahastha, who otherwise was following dharma, goes astray more than anything else, he suffers from a low self-esteem about himself. He loses respect for himself. Leave alone society not respecting him or her. Leave alone some other way of paying a price for that adharmic way of living. This poor man or this poor lady, who at once was on the path of dharma, now is doing very many things which are clearly adharma, prohibited in the Shastras. He will day in and day out look at himself, or she will look at herself as not all right. I have a long way to go. I am somehow not living the way I wanted to live. That's it. On one hand, he continues to do wrong things. On the other, he says, oh no, something is wrong with my life. Walk the path of dharma. Come back to dharma. You will find that everything is so wonderful about you. Therefore, spirituality is about raising our self-esteem. When we feel good about ourselves in the right way, there is no arrogance resulting from that good self-esteem. Rather, in that good self-esteem, which is based on spiritual understanding, there is an enhanced, increased ability to serve all, to bear with difficulties, to face challenges. More your self-esteem in the healthy way, greater your visualization. You think big and you do things that are big. Ishwaram swam atmanam ajanantaha, not knowing, alas, they look down at God. With this, we prepare to move into the next shloka, where Bhagavan continues to whiplash. He whips up these ignorant people, saying to them, wake up and see life the right way. Shankaracharya connects us to verse number 12, saying, Tatascha tasya mama avajna bhavanena ahatahate varaka. These sinful beings, these pitiable, miserable people, because of their looking at me wrongly, they're looking at me with so much of ignorance and misunderstanding, they are hit by that wrong seeing. Ahata, they are hit, they are struck by misunderstanding. And so what will happen? What happens to them? They get more and more caught in this terrible world. Verse number 12 will be elaborated in chapter 16 in the form of description of Asuri Bhava. Asuri Sampat. Sampat means what you possess. Sampadyate. With great difficulty, sometimes you have acquired these skills, that education, this name, this fame, this position you acquire. But alas, Asuri Sampat is a case where you acquire things that are not praiseworthy. The 16th chapter of Bhagavad Geetā is titled Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Sampat can be a surname also. It is a surname in Karnataka, at least in South India, especially of people who are Ramanuja's followers. Because one form in which Lord Krishna appears in their literature, who is especially hailed or held in great regard, Sri Krishna's one form is Sampat Kumar. Sampat Kumar, a young boy who is endowed with great divine energy. So there are people of that name. There used to be a very wonderful actor in Kannada cinema who typically acted as a fatherly figure. He was Sampath. Today we have a very talented, brilliant historian who writes books after books. I wonder how he finds the time, how he collects all information. He wrote a 500 pages book on Vodayars of Mysore and many other books he has rolled out. And so Tejaswi, Vikram Sampath, you have an author who is a Kannadiga, but most of his works are in English. Sampath, Daivi Sampath. You could be endowed with divine skills, divine outlooks, divine ways of living, divine ways of facing challenges. Or you could be, alas, possessing. Sampath is what you possess. You are possessing Asuri Sampath. This Asuri Sampath, demonic estate. That's one appropriate translation. Estate. You have. We use the word estate sometimes in the sense of a lot of land and buildings that somebody might possess. Oh, that lady has a huge estate outside the city. You must go and see. It's a fabulous 107 acres piece of land and a wonderful bungalow and then so many other things. You must go and see. Estate, tea estate, coffee estate. Estate is sometimes a large piece of land with, like in coffee estate, where you grow coffee, where you grow tea. Sampath. More about it when we go to the 16th chapter. Today, let me say, this 12th verse which we are opening up now actually indicates this Asuri Sampath, demonic estate. Moghasha Mogha Karmanaha Mogha Jnana Vichetasaha Rakshasim Asurim Shaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shrita. Those people, ladies or men, about whom Sri Krishna said in the 11th verse, he said, they are Muda, they are Avivekina. Bhashyakara explained. They are deluded. Achetasaha. They have lost their intelligence. Puja Swami Chinmayananji used to often say, your problem is you are living unintelligently. Earlier I had mentioned somebody, probably Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev, saying, there are no bad habits in life. There are only stupid habits. If somebody early morning holds a big cup of coffee and reads newspaper for 1.5 hours, that is how he begins his day. It's a stupid habit. Early morning is meant for some exercise, some prayer, even if it is 10 minutes, some spiritual study. Instead, reading what happened in politics, what happened in sports, what happened in the entertainment industry, which Hollywood or Bollywood star married, which Hollywood or Bollywood star divorced, and which Hollywood or Bollywood star remarried. One reads with great interest and drinks some more coffee and requests one's spouse, if his lady asks her husband, get one more cup of coffee. His husband says to his wife, dear, can you get some more coffee? You know what? That star, that celebrity who was the main actor in that famous movie has divorced for the third time. Do you know? Drink some more coffee. Instead of increasing, enhancing your knowledge of God, you are enhancing your knowledge of cinema stars and Olympic gold winners. I don't remember who, but there was one lady who in this Olympics also won some medals. Some not Indian, somebody from West. She won some gold or silver medal. She goes back home and her ex-boyfriend, I guess, he catches hold of her and thrashes her so much. She is beaten, what do you call it, black and blue. She is badly injured by his boxing her, his hitting her. Maybe she is admitted to hospital and he is put in jail, probably. So, if that is what occupies our mind all the time, and God takes a back seat, how sad. Mogashaha. Because these people who are endowed with Asuri Sampat, their very aims and hopes and desires and their dreams are in vain. They are dreaming of getting richer, getting more famous. They are dreaming of teaching their enemies lessons that the enemies would never forget. That is their asha. Asha means what you look for in future. Accordingly, mogha karmanaha. The actions they perform also are in vain. Mogha literally means in vain, meaning it doesn't bring good results, it fails. There is another word, the opposite actually, amogha. The arrows of Ram are amogha. Amogha means once Sri Ram releases his arrow, it will never be in vain, it will never be a failure. It hits the enemy wherever he may run in the three worlds. If the enemy goes to Patal, Ram's arrow will follow him into Patal and pierce his chest. Amogha. Amogha means that which is never unsuccessful. In the case of these people, all their actions are unsuccessful. Superficially, they may look like successful, but actually, scratch the surface, you will find a lot of actions that these people perform pull them further down to greater degradation. Mogha jnana, their knowledge also is in vain. Everything is based on false values. Their knowledge, their so-called wisdom, and they are vichetasaha. They are lacking in intelligence. They have stupid habits, so to say. Chetas here means intelligence. Vichetasaha, vigata chetasaha. And therefore, what is called Asuri Sampat is called Rakshasim, Asurim Chaiva. Here Sri Krishna uses two words. It is said Asuri is very bad and Rakshasi is very, very bad. Rakshasi is where even what these people do are visibly horrible. Asuri is where everybody may not recognize that these people are on the wrong track. Rakshasi, even a child knows that here comes a villain. Rakshasi is most terrible. That is the nature, Prakriti. That kind of Prakriti, that kind of nature, which is Mohini. This nature, by its nature, deludes them more and more. They go from bad to worse. They go from the worst to the worst. They are standing on quicksand. More they try to get out of it, they sink deeper into it. Other day in Chhattisgarh, we had gone to see a new branch of the ashram where we had a wonderful 5-day program where entire Gita was covered in some 15 hours or some 20 hours, where I spoke in Hindi first time for so many hours at a stretch. All my life I have given some short talks in Hindi. maybe for 45 minutes. That's about it. But here in the Chhattisgarh, Sri Krishna Pranami Sadhanalaya, a nice ashram brim with spiritual activities, where the day begins at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. All the 5 mornings, the group with which I went, including me, were attending 5 a.m. Arati, where Radha and Krishna were praised. Lot of beautiful singing, followed finally by Arati of Sri Krishna, Sri Radharani, then their Guru Parampara and so on. And they have now an extension. Several kilometers away, they have plans for another beautiful ashram. We went there. Everything was again so wonderful. There also we have bhajan, kirtan, and the students of Sri Krishna Pranami Sadhanalaya. Some of them are already teachers too. All of them also presented a vibrant dance, singing Sri Krishna's glory. They dance like in Gujarat, they have Garba Ras, like that. And I also gave a short talk, and then everyone was returning. Some of us went by a car, returning to the main ashram, and probably some 20 people were to come back by bus because it was raining heavily outside as we were all having satsang inside the ashram's building. We didn't realize the mud had become so soggy and the bus had sunk a little. Some of us, like including me, we went away. Then we came to know in 5 minutes that the remaining people were unable to move because the bus got stuck. And any attempt to lift the bus apparently made the bus go deeper. Krishna. Finally, after about an hour or so, some other vehicles went there and did not go into those areas where there is so much of water and soft mud. I guess I wasn't there, but I guess the cars stood outside where the sand, where the soil is hard, and these people moved into 2 or 3 cars, and they also came to the main ashram, half an hour away. So quicksand or wet soil. In wet soil, if you put some pressure, put in some force and try to get up, you will sink further. That's what happens to these Asuri Sampat people. Sri Shankaracharya explains Mogashaha, which means Vritha, Ashishaha, Ashaha, Yeshamte. Those whose desires, hopes, and aspirations are all rooted in falsehood, and therefore they are bound to be vain. Vivekananda, in one of his lectures, said, in life, in this universe, everywhere, it is nothing but the means which itself expresses as the end. Means and end are not really disjoint. As the means, so is the end. If you take some clay and make something, it's going to be, let's say, an idol made of clay. Every bit of it is clay. Clay was used, and clay is in the end product. You use some milk and sugar and don't expect something salty or something bitter as the end product. You use milk, you use sugar, you used cardamom, you will get a sweet. So using these simple examples, we must realize means themselves with some external changes become the end. What's the significance of saying this? If you and I live a daily life in public or in private, we live a life rooted in false values, then our outer life also, with a little re examination, is in vain. We don't arrive anywhere, we don't achieve anything, and we may have some talent, we may have some resources, we may be born to some illustrious family, and we may say, we are sons and daughters of that famous king, that famous scholar, and why are we not treated with respect by the society? We are not given enough recognition. Wait a minute. Your parents, your grandparents might have been kings, might have been great scholars, might have been so good. But oh dear sons and daughters of that family, the way you are living actually, public may not know so much, is not on the right track. So what you put in is not right. So what comes out has to be not right. As the means, so is the end. Therefore, people like Mahatma Gandhi emphasized it's important to use the right means also to achieve right ends. Never try to achieve a certain good goal, righteous goal, with unrighteous, evil, false means. Don't try to prepare some sweets using bitter or too salty items as the raw material. As the means, so the end. Means and the end are not really different. This is a lofty teaching. Therefore, here too, yesham ashishaha eva, yesham ashaha eva. Their desires, their intentions are false. Naturally, their life has the foul smell of adharma. तथा मोघ कर्माणः यानि च अग्निहोत्रादीनि तैः अनुष्ठीयमानानि कर्माणि तानि च तेषां भगवत परिभवात्. They may do agnihotra, certain esteemed, certain much valued daily ritual of the Vedas. They may do a lot of, apparently they will do a lot of good things. Or in a secular context, somebody may build orphanages, somebody may build hospitals for the poor, somebody may do a lot of social work. But known or unknown to the public is this, or this man or woman has his or her private life with a lot of adharma, wrong things, then their karma, all that social work they do is in vain. What's your daily life? Do you surrender yourself to God? Do you say to God, it's all yours, nothing is mine, and so on? Or do you say to God also, I am very popular, God, and make me more popular, please. Please make me more popular. I want to be very popular. I want to be known around the world. In this way, if your hope and aspiration and then your karma, your actions are fraught with unintelligence or lack of intelligence, then achalas, you are on the wrong track. Sri Shankaracharya says Bhagavad Paribhava because of insult to God. Swatmabhusasya avajnanat. You end up knowingly or unknowingly, you end up insulting yourself. You end up having very poor self-esteem. Avajnanat. Mogani eva nishphalani karmani bhavanti iti moga karmana. So their actions end up as nishphalani. They don't bring any truly good results. Everything is superficial. A little deeper inside, all these works are causing more damage, causing more sorrow to people than good. Tata mogajnanaha nishphalajnanaha. Outwardly, they may seem to be very knowledgeable, but since their life is running on the track of false values, their knowledge also is nishphala, doesn't give them anything worth mentioning. Jnanamapi tesham nishphalameva syat. Vichetasa vigata vivekascha. Yeah, once upon a time these fellows were on right track, but now it's gone. Vigata means visheshena gatam. Gatam, jnanam. Gataha vivekaha yesham. Ityabhiprayah. Now they are no good. Like it is said, somebody was once upon a king's horse, a horse that belongs to a king. And slowly, we don't know what happened. He has become a donkey that the washerman uses to carry loads of clothes to the river bank or the bank of a lake to wash those clothes. And the donkey then brings all the washed clothes back, washed and dried, I guess. So, in olden days, washermen would have donkeys, and the donkeys would carry bundles of clothes. What was a horse on which a king rode with all majesty, with all glory, now became a donkey. How did the horse turn into a donkey? How did people who were truly good at one time become so backward now? Because of wrong attitude towards God, they had an erroneous outlook. Vigata vivekaha, they become rakshasim, rakshasam prakritim swabhavam. Rakshasaha or rakshansi, you should say. Rakshaha, rakshasi, rakshansi. That's how the plural goes, rakshansi. And of such people, rakshasam. Rakshasam prakritim shritaha, ashritaha. Asurim, asuranancha prakritim, mohinim, mohakarim. And the essential dimension of this delusion is Dehatma Bhava. Dehatma Vadinim, Vadini because Prakriti is feminine. That nature or that set of habits, Prakriti, which is marked by Dehatma Vada, where one where again and again one says, I am this body. And to make this body enjoy as much as possible is my whole vision. Outside he may say, my vision is to bring happiness to suffering people. Inside him, his vision is one thing. I have now a bungalow with 4 bedrooms. As the social service increases and more donations come, I will make my 4 bedroom house into a 6 bedroom house. And I will enjoy. I'll make all the whole house centrally air conditioned. Aha, inside he is dreaming of his own, especially physical comfort. So it is said, Mohini, Mohakarim, Dehatmavadinim, Shritaha means Ashritaha. Shankaracharya gives a nice elaboration. Chindi, Bindhi, Piba, Khada, Paraswam, Apahara, iti evam vadanashila. They are marked by frequently saying about something, chindi, chedam kuru, cut it, destroy it, bhindi, break it. So they don't do any constructive work. They break physical structures, they break relationships. There was somebody once whom I knew, and he was often going to another town for a few days and coming back. We asked him, where are you going? You disappeared for 4 days and again you are back. Where did you go? You know, oh, there is one couple over there and I am counselor. I am advising them because they have some problem, misunderstanding. I go and advise them. We thought very good thing, very good work. Finally, we came to know that over 2 years he went again and again and talked to both of them and successfully broke their relationship. Rather than bringing some harmony between the husband and wife, he broke that marriage, telling both of them that you should apart. There is no way of adjusting. He did not harmonize. And then one more year passed. Then we got to know that this fellow now married that lady. This fellow married that lady. And because it is all ill conceived, there was no true love, there was no true affection, there was no true understanding. It was his lust and greed, it was his inhuman qualities that in the name of counseling, actually, he broke that family. Now, so what is the result? His own marriage did not last even for 2 years. The lady very soon found that this is not a well-wisher, and this fellow is using me. This fellow is having some fun time, some good time, having his eyes on my wealth also, his eyes are on whatever other things he gets. So the means were horrible, so was the end. Therefore, piba, drink, eat, khada, paraswam, apahara, steal property that belongs to others. Adi Shankaracharya, the great Advaita teacher, comes down to these things, describing the behavior of evil people. In Jnaneshwari by Sant Jnaneshwar, when Sant Jnaneshwar has to explain what is said in 16th chapter, he expresses tremendous sadness. I really don't want to describe these things at all, but alas, I have taken up this work. Jnaneshwari is a great commentary, classical commentary on Bhagavad Geetā in Marathi, in poetic form. I believe the meter is OV, in OV meter. He wrote a work called Jnaneshwari, which is immortal. Especially those who know Marathi read that and they are so overjoyed. How wonderfully Sant Jnaneshwar, who I suppose just lived for some 16 years or so, that's about it. Before that, he left behind monumental work, Jnaneshwari, Amritanubhav, and a lot of other things. His life, his works are unbelievably extraordinary. So in Dhaneshwari he says, oh my God, forgive me, I have to talk about these Rakshasi people. From my pen, words have to come out which do not talk about God, do not talk about divine ways of living, but they talk about these demonic ways of living. But I have to do it. He just does it. He describes these krura karmana. Shankaracharya adds one more word. Those whose actions are very wicked, very harsh, very hurting. They bring sorrow everywhere. Krura karmana, krurani, karmani, yesham te janaha, krura karmanaha. Asurya namate lokaha is what Ishavasya Upanishad in its third verse says. Asurya namate loka, andhena tamasavrata, and so on. Asurya namate loka. The meaning there is Asurya, those worlds, those regions, those realms, those environments where they finally end up are marked by not Sura, not Devata-like behavior, but Asura. From Asura, an adjective is derived. Asurya is an adjective of the nature of Asuras. That third mantra also says they are suicidal, they are killing themselves. Leave alone the hurt they cause to others. They are hurting themselves. Asurya namate kote iti shrutehe. Bhagavad Gita is a smriti. Though it is found inside an itihasa, because Mahabharata and Ramayana are called itihasas. They are historical works. And in the historical work of Mahabharata, there is this piece of 700 verses, which by the nature of its contents is elevated to the level of Smriti, because the hierarchy is Shruti on top, Smriti comes next, Itihasa, then Purana. Therefore, some of you who may be doing Sandhya Vandana morning and evening, you have some mantras, you do some Karanyasa, Anganyasa. That time you say, Shruti Smritibhyo Namaha, Itihasa Puranebhyo Namaha, and do certain gestures. Drink some, sip some water, and pay respect to Shruti Smriti first, and then Itihasa Purana, and to many forms of divine expression, and so on. Shankara connects us further. Ye punah shraddha dhanaha bhagavad bhakti lakshane moksha marge pravritta. After describing in 2 verses evil-minded people whose ways, whose actions also are evil, Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes those whose daily life is marked by true piety, true sadhutva, who live actually a dharmic life. Shraddha. They don't do lip service to the teachings of dharma found in various works, scriptures. They go about listening to Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, such statements. They look at them with Shraddha. Yes, this is how I got to be. I must change. I must live as per these guidelines. Shraddha Dana. And they walk the path of liberation. Moksha Marge Pravritta Sa Moksha Margaha Kim Lakshanaha Bhagavad Bhakti Lakshanaha. Above all, the path of liberation is marked by steady devotion to Bhagavan. Bhagavad Bhakti Lakshanaha Moksha Margaha Tesham Margaha Tasmin Marge Te Gachanti Te Pravartante. They are engaged day in and day out. They go from glory to glory. They go from more merit, they get more merit. Somewhere, like in the launching of a rocket, somewhere the rocket escapes from the gravitational field of the earth and goes into space. Like that, these people, moksha marge pravrittaha, Bhagavad Bhakti Lakshane marge pravrittaha, they actually escape. They get out of the grip of so many tendencies which are common in human life otherwise. They go very high, and then people around them cannot understand also what's happening to these people. Known to others or unknown to others, they have many glimpses of the divine supreme ruler. They have Ishvara Sakshatkara. At the end, we just read the shloka for now. This is a beautiful shloka which should guide us. This is how we must live. Mahatmanastu mam partha Devim prakritimashritah bhajanti ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Bhajanti ananya manasa. Third quarter. Jnatva bhutadim avyayam. There are Mahatmas who are great souls. They are ever anchored in the divine estate. They worship God with their mind not going anywhere else. And they know Jnatva, having known, having gained a certain intuitive understanding that God is the very source from which, number one, the 5 elements have come. Shankaracharya in his Bhāshya says, Vyadadini. Vyat means Akasha. The five elements have come from God, of which everything is made. And Bhut also means all living beings. All animals and plants and worms and birds and we, the human beings, we have come from God. How can we ever forget God? So knowing God's greatness, bhajanti, they are the Mahatmas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We meet next Wednesday morning again as regards India and Tuesday evening as applicable to the West. Jai Shri Krishna.